Welcome to the Pantheon. I am Ray.
I'm Chelsey.
And today we're looking at Gretel and Hansel. I have to remember because the age is flipped, that's why.
Yes.
This is based on the Brother Grimm's fairy tale, which was published in 1812. That's how long ago. So, for those who don't know, copyright law gives, like Shakespeare, if it's 400 years old, it's free reign. Which means people can take, anyone off the street can do Shakespeare interpretation, write it, whatever they want, change it around. There's no law to do whatever you want. Same with this. So you have carte blanche to write anything you want and reinvent, and you don't have to pay any royalties or fees. So this is free territory to write whatever you want. So this is why they did Gretel and Hansel, because it's just go, make your story. So Robert Hayes, who wrote this, directed by Oz Perkins, who is a relative newcomer, but he has great ideas of framing and use of color on this. It's just, he centers the image a little bit too much, so it's just weird in terms of the framing of it. It's like a college student film, in my personal opinion. Yeah. But it's there's a scene where you see the roots and the layers of color chronologically, and so I thought the use of color and the use of set design and art direction amazing, and the cinematography is amazing. I think the world itself is captured so much. So I thought, in that sense, this film is just beautiful. So this is a story about what the story is. Basically, it's the ascension from childhood to womanhood. So that is what the story really represents, and how it goes about that. It goes through this narrative of Gretel and Hansel. So the story, these kids get lost in the woods. They meet this witch, and everyone knows the story. Yeah. The Brothers Grimm's version of the story is very horrific and graphic and violent, whereas the fairy tale, like the Disney version, they call that, it's it's a little watered down. It's not as graphic or disturbing, or it's not about cannibalism or whatever like that. So the Brothers Grimm's, their stuff has always been very horrific and scary, and I don't think this is a scary film at all, but it's based on I'm not saying real events, but it's based on something that can give trauma, or it's based on something that is horrific in some nature. Yeah. So what are your initial thoughts of it?
I thought the movie had a bunch of potential because, like you said, the original story is quite grueling almost, and I think that they had some points in the movie where they could have made it that strong, and they didn't. So I think towards the end, where you find out where the food supply is actually coming from, right, that was probably like, whoa. But other than that, it was a really chilled movie. I don't think there was as much effort as I think there should have been for them trying to escape. Because Gretel noticed it right off the bat, and it's like, okay. And then after, it's like, I think she noticed it because she is older, but after it was like, okay, well, if you know, then go. I get you're stuck in the woods, but at the same time, do you want to be stuck in the woods or just get back on the trail that you're supposed to follow anyways? That's
right, because the woodman tells me there is a place that you can go and to find your salvation.
The shelter,
So let's get into the beginning of this, just to quickly get into it. So the story starts off with Gretel and Hansel. The mother's a widow, and it's basically a severe economic downturn. And she tells the kids, Gretel, I want you to go out and dig 2 graves.
Yeah.
And she does, and she tells them, you got to go. And she's serious. I mean, she drops a cleaver down.
Yeah, do you want me to hack you? And I was like, geez.
It's a choice. It's either I send you out into the woods myself, my way, or you take your own way out. Yeah, so they end up going to the lady's, there's a house. And then, you're right, because it's weird because the kid doesn't see Hansel doesn't see the threat. Yeah. He's just more into the food. He's hungry. He's a child. So, and you're right. And it's Gretel who is aware of the surroundings. This is not right. This is peculiar, and she questions her surroundings. And then slowly but surely, it changes. The kid becomes self-aware that, okay, maybe something's not right. But it's a slow turn. Or it's about childhood turning into womanhood, and then finding something in herself. There is a connection between her and the witch.
Yeah.
And then so that's an interesting. That dynamic, of course, I don't think it's in the books. I think that's completely original, and I thought that appealed to me more. But you're right. When you mention where the food comes from and what is going on in this place,
Yeah.
and they go downstairs and this is the white room, whereas everything's dark and shadows and
Yeah,
creepy.
yeah.
This is a room that's full of light and it's clear and it's just and as I mentioned in terms of the cinematography and how everything's shot, it's a descension. You're descending into something. You know you're going down, and it's like a temple, almost,
Yeah.
and it's such a weird. It's not a temple or a cathedral or anything, Wiccan or anything like that. It's just a weird room, and then what happens in the room? It's like you're traveling. It's well, you haven't seen the movie yet, but there's a movie called Mandy. There's a certain aspect of it where it's just such a weird headspace you're in, and I thought that was just mind-boggling. And I really enjoyed the idea of I have no idea where we're going with this movie, and I had no idea that this, and then, in the fairy tale, the fate of the witch, and what happens to the kids, and with the woodsman. So I was waiting for the woodman to come back. Then I'm confusing it with Snow White and the woodsman. Yeah. I wasn't sure where isn't he supposed to come back and save the day? I wasn't sure what's going on. And then you're like, okay, so what's really going on? And then so I'm trying to figure out the movie before it ends, and that's probably a detriment to myself to try to figure out the film. But that's just how I'm trying to just piece it together. And I'm thinking to myself, so there's no woodsman. He doesn't come back. Spoiler alert: there's no woodsman, but he helps sets up where there is a place for these kids to go,
yeah.
and he sets up the path of where they go. The fall colors and hues really brings your eyes into the movie. So I was more captivated by the visual elements of it.
Yeah.
The story was a far second, but it really picks up and gets you into it. I thought the music was amazing, and the tone of the music was amazing. Anything else, it helps you get into the mindset of the movie, and then if the story itself was kind of failing on you, then the visual element, the buffet, if you will, of what you're seeing, kind of keeps you going until you get to the end. So there wasn't any really drops in terms of my interest of the movie. Though I understand if you think, oh, this movie's kind of boring, there isn't any, maybe I would say, forced scenes or forced elements where it's you could have cut that out, but it serves a greater purpose. You just gotta just wait it out till you get to the end. And I don't know. The ending was, I don't know if it was satisfying, but I'm like, oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't see that. So if you're looking at that in terms of seasonal, that's kind of a vague way of looking at it. Then it's really cool.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was very. Then I kind of understood the name of the movie, Gretel and Hansel. I thought that was kind of interesting too. Because does that lead into the ending? No, I don't think so necessarily, but it explains the age difference basically.
Yeah.
And I like that. So I'll give. Did you give us a rating yet? I forgot.
No. I'm gonna give it 2.5 stars. I say 2.5 because the movie really did have such a great potential to be the scary movie that it should have. And I don't know. I think the witch
Mm-hmm.
was awesome. She was actually haunting. That's burned into my brain. But no, the characters were good, but I don't know, something was missing just to give me the thrill. I found I had no thrill while I was watching it.
No, I have to agree with you 100%. The way it's promoted or published, even the photographs, commercial, it looks like a horror film.
Yeah.
Like Hereditary, it's just a symbol of blackness and that's it. But there is no monster. There is nothing. There's no element where it's the fear you have in it. You're being. It doesn't have to be you're being chased by this witch, but there is nothing in it to make you fear.
Yeah.
There's no fear in this film, and there's nothing in it to. There's no stakes in it. I have to agree with you too. I'm gonna give it 2.5. It's not. It's like stream it kind of thing. It's just. Yeah. If it's in the background, you can watch it. Watch it. It's worth watching, but if you're looking for a horror film, this is not going to be.
Yeah,
this is not
it.
No, but if you're a fan of the actresses who are in this film, the girl, I forgot who's the girl in this movie. It's the girl from It.
Oh, that movie sucked.
Sophie Ellis. Sophie Ellis. So if you watch Sharp Objects, the HBO with Reese Witherspoon, sorry, Amy Adams, she's a really good actress. She's a really good, like, she did Nancy Drew in The Staircase, which.
Oh, okay.
So that's her. So Sophie Ellis playing this character, I thought she did an amazing job. She's not, I don't call her like a Hollywood glamorous actress, but she's like the everyday girl that you can relate to, and I thought, and her performance was really good. And because of that, her performance is what kept me going, but realistically, it's not enough to save this movie. It's 7.5 stars. So, never heard, if you've never read Hansel and Gretel or Gretel and Hansel, this is kind of a really cool take on something, a new idea to something that's been around for over 400 years.
Yeah.
So, there you go. So, I'm Ray.
I'm Chelsey.
We'll talk to you next time.